When I think about the best scene from Citizen Kane, I could have picked Citizen Kane's opening newsreel footage, or I could have picked Citizen Kane's gubernatorial speech. But the scene I'm studying to become a better filmmaker is Citizen Kane's newsroom scene. And the elements that make this scene so great are things that all filmmakers could implement in their films. My name is Sherer. I'm the co-writer and co-director of the award-winning short film No Vacancy. And in today's video, I'm breaking down my favorite scene from what many consider to be one of the most influential films of all time, Citizen Kane. No scene works without being important to the story, the overall story that the film is trying to tell. All scenes exist to serve that story. So before I get into what makes this scene so great, let me first give some context as to where this scene fits into the overall story of Citizen Kane. The newsroom scene matters because it helps set up the mystery the film wants to solve. It starts at approximately the 12.5-minute mark and plays for just under 2 minutes. And it's right in the middle of Act 1, which means we're still in the film's setup. The newsroom scene comes right after the classic newsreel footage plays. In fact, the newsroom scene is actually just a continuation of the newsreel footage because the reporters in the newsroom just finished watching that same newsreel that we finished watching. The newsreel gives us a general overview of Charles Foster Kane's life. The newsreel was put together by a character we'll be following the rest of the film, a reporter named Thompson. But Thompson's boss gives us the objective of the film in this scene, the newsroom scene, when he says it isn't enough to tell us what a man did, you also have to tell us who he was. What were his last words? Charles Foster Kane's last word, as is famously known by most film fans, is Rosebud. And now we have the objective of the film. We're supposed to follow Thompson as he tries to unravel the mystery of what Rosebud means. I have a whole video breaking down the entire film, but in this video, I'm focused purely on this 2-minute amazing newsroom scene that comes after the newsreel footage. Contextually then, this scene is critical to the story because we're introduced to Thompson, who serves as our guide throughout the film, and also because it introduces the central conflict, unraveling the mystery of Kane's final word, Rosebud. So yeah, the newsroom scene does mean something to the rest of the film, which means it's important to the story. But that's not why I love it, nor is it why I'm studying it. The real reason I love it, the lighting of this scene is stunning. Okay, so what makes the lighting so special? Do you notice anything odd about this scene? We don't ever see the reporters' faces clearly. In fact, we never see Thompson's face really all that clearly unless he's far away from us. And he's our guide for the rest of the film. So why would Orson Welles, the director and the actor who's also playing the titular role of Charles Foster Kane, why would he hide Thompson and Thompson's colleagues, or the other newsroom guys, why would he hide their faces? In my opinion, this choice proves ingenious because we, as the audience, can now feel like we're Thompson. It's our objective to unravel the mystery of Rosebud. We're not watching Brad Pitt or Humphrey Bogart solve the mystery as a compelling on-screen detective. Instead, we're right there alongside Thompson, a faceless reporter trying to solve the mystery ourselves. And the lighting of this scene has 2 essential story implications. It immerses us in the story by giving us an objective and not distracting us with a big star to focus on. And it makes the setup feel even more enigmatic. There's a mystery here about an important figure, and we're in the dark with the reporters, which means we're now tasked with tagging along with Thompson to figure out who Charles Foster Kane really was and what his last word meant. Brilliant. The second thing that makes the lighting so special is that it's visually striking. By choosing to light this scene the way that he does, Orson Welles reveals very little about the details of the newsroom itself. The setting remains mysterious. We're in the dark, metaphorically and literally, with the reporters. And by the way, I should say, it's not just Orson Welles here, it's also his cinematographer. This dark newsroom is far more compelling than it would have been fully lit. In fact, if the room were fully lit, we probably wouldn't be talking about this scene right now. So what about this dark room with cool lighting makes it more compelling. The lighting, coupled with the movements of the actors, to me, creates a greater sense of urgency. Thompson's boss excites the reporters, not only with his words, but also with his movements, which become more dramatic in the lighting of his silhouette. We're compelled to want to discover this mystery. We've got to start now. And I've already mentioned this, but the lighting also puts us in the dark with the reporters. They don't know what Rosebud means. And alongside Thompson, we need to shed light on what Rosebud really meant to Charles Foster Kane. Now, most of you, if you don't want to be directors or filmmakers, may skip this part, but in order to better understand how Orson Welles makes his choices, I want to break down each shot that makes up this scene. Shot 1 is a transition shot. The newsreel has been taking up the entire screen as we watch it, but there's a transition shot which shows the projector screen that has been playing the newsreel, which means we now know that others have also been watching this newsreel footage. In fact, we're in the room with them and we see the screen that they're seeing. Shots 2 and 3 are brief close-up inserts that show the projector that was playing the newsreel winding down and being turned off. Shot 4 is an establishing shot of the dark newsroom where we see the silhouettes and shadows of the reporters who have been watching the newsreel. I love the lighting of this shot because of the two beams that are coming in from the two windows. And then part of the way through this shot, Thompson lights a desk lamp, which just adds to the ambiance. It's brilliant. Shot 5 makes Thompson's boss, the character with most of the dialogue in this scene, more prominent. He's trying to inspire Thompson to improve this story about Charles Foster Kane. This shot also has a slight pan and tilt to it as the camera follows Thompson's boss at one point. Shot 6 actually reverses the camera placement. Now the camera is placed on the opposite wall where the projector is located, but the lighting is still the focus here. We're now using the white projector screen to outline the silhouettes of both Thompson and his boss. Shot 7 is similar in composition to shot 6, but now we're closer to the performers and the angle is slightly different. Shot 8 gives us a very similar setup as shot number 4, where we can see the projector on the back wall and the lights coming in, the beams of light coming in from the windows, but this framing is just ever so slightly different. Shot 9 is my favorite shot in the scene. If you made me pick one shot, this is the shot that I think is just absolutely gorgeous. And this shot gives us a lower angle, which puts Thompson's boss's silhouette in front of one of the beams of light coming through the window. And I absolutely love it. I'm not sure that I've ever seen lighting used more effectively for dramatic effect than it's used here. It is absolutely amazing. Now after shot 9, we actually go back to shot 8 momentarily, and then back to shot 7, which also has an ever so subtle pan and tilt when Thompson stands up, which kind of emphasizes Thompson's desire to track down the story, as if he's been inspired by his boss's speech. So as you break down these basically 9 shots, in my opinion, this is phenomenal scene composition and execution here. Nathan Sheck, my co-writer, and I just finished a short script that relies heavily on lighting in order to tell the story. That's one of the reasons I'm digging so deep into this particular scene. I want to study it to become a better filmmaker. Here are some of my key takeaways as I consider how to direct my film. 1, a key aspect of lighting is that it allows the storytellers to control visual information, which is the lifeblood of filmmaking. Welles chooses to put all the performers' faces in deep shadows or silhouettes to showcase to the audience that their identities aren't important. Controlling visual information is critical to our short film that we're going to film later this year because it allows us to keep the audience from seeing key visual information until we want to showcase it to them. The goal is to increase the suspense of the film and prolong major reveals, hopefully adding to the mystery. My second key takeaway is that the scene is lit and shot to maximize the visual creativity of the scene. As I mentioned earlier, if the scene had been fully lit, we probably wouldn't be talking about it. It wouldn't be as compelling. And finally, 3, Welles keeps the camera movement to a minimum. Rather than the camera moving, the performers' silhouettes move within the light to focus our attention on them. The camera could move, but it doesn't need to. In my opinion, the more camera movement in this scene wouldn't make it any more dynamic or interesting. All right, so now we're gonna do something that's maybe a little bit audacious, maybe to some even sacrilegious, but we're going to pretend that we're the directors and we could give notes to Orson Welles on this scene. Just as an exercise, we're not pretending that we're as brilliant as Mr. Wells is, but let's see if we can come up with some other ideas. And I want you to leave your ideas in the comments down below. But here are some of my ideas about what I might change about the way that this scene was filmed. And because this is one of my favorite scenes in film history, this is a bit of a challenge for me, but here we go. I have to do it as an exercise. We're gonna do it. The first thing I might try and do is resist the urge to pan or tilt the camera. Now, Wells only does this twice within this sequence, within this scene, but I'm not positive it's absolutely necessary. Can we let the lighting speak for itself without needing to shift the camera? I'd like to try and see. My second idea is I also might try to reduce the number of shots. In my breakdown, we covered 9 different shots Wells included in this scene. I would try reducing the number of shots by not subtly reframing them as Orson does a couple of times here. And then the third thing I might try, which goes completely against my second point, is I might try to include some extra inserts. I'd love to see an insert, for example, of the ashtrays on Thompson's desk, a close-up of the smoke drifting off the end of one of those cigarettes in the ashtray might look amazing traveling through the beams of light. I also think a close-up of one of the windows and the beam of light coming through it would also be super cool, maybe in like a profile view. But look, I'm not sure any of those ideas actually improve this scene. What do you think? And what ideas of your own do you have? Leave them in the comments. What do you think overall of this scene from Citizen Kane? Do you agree with me that it's one of the best scenes in film history, or are you not really all that impressed by it? And what did you learn about filmmaking from this analysis? Did I miss anything that you would like to include here? Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more detailed scene breakdowns. If you want more of my analysis and study of Citizen Kane, be sure to watch my Citizen Kane Explained videos right here on this channel.